devastating landslides in northern India.
It was the hottest May ever recorded.
In the calls, if somebody needs help, they got to figure it out on their own.
We are burning fossil fuels, which is heating up the planet.
Some stories don't have two sides.
A lot of stuff, can't be replaced. It's gone.
No one can survive this.
I think the thing that people don't realize about climate change is that a lot of it's irreversible. We are going to have to live in a world in which climate patterns are more extreme and more disastrous and dangerous to humanity.
I am deeply troubled and concerned.
There is just one alternative. You change, you embrace new ways of doing, or you will disappear.
Because we have a process that is gradually going to warm the planet for some decades now, even if we get everything under control. Unless that by the middle of this century, we have replaced fossil fuel with wind, solar, hydro, ocean, and other zero carbon forms of energy.
Climate today is one of the best investment opportunities around. And that investment opportunity, nothing else, is $23 trillion.
We have today enough profitable technologies to divide by 2 the energy consumption and the CO2 emissions, and we have to use them.
The technology is completely ready. We have to act, and we have to act now.
Huge report on the impact of climate change, and the findings are dire, not just for our health and our environment the way you'd expect it to be, but also for the economy. The scientific report warns that the damage from climate change will reduce the size of the American economy by 10% by the end of the century. Annual losses, this is a quote, annual losses in some economic sectors are projected to reach hundreds of billions of dollars by the end of the century, more than the current gross domestic product of many U.S. states.
For the first time during the Trump administration, this sweeping federal government report required by Congress on climate change is being made public, and it lays out dire predictions about how people and prosperity could be threatened by more frequent and more devastating natural disasters.
The U.S. government says natural disasters are worsening because of climate change. The National Climate Assessment, compiled by 13 federal agencies, was released Friday. In blunt language, the report warns temperatures in the U.S. could increase by as much as 12 degrees by the end of the century. It cites humans as the cause of more than 90% of the current warming. The report says the effects of climate change could have dire economic effects, potentially shrinking the U.S. economy by 10%. In just the past 3 years, more frequent and severe storms, floods and wildfires and droughts have cost more than $400 billion.
This year's deadly wildfires and monster storms, terrifying signs of things to come. According to tonight's dire new assessment from 13 federal agencies, government scientists warning the impacts of climate change are intensifying. Climate-related threats to Americans' physical, social, and economic well-being are rising from coast to coast. President Trump, who once called climate change a hoax, has made a priority of rolling back environmental regulations.
I'm not denying climate change, but it could very well go back.
But the administration's own scientists now say significant immediate action is required to avoid substantial damages to the U.S. economy, environment, and human health. Among their alarming predictions for the Southeast, stronger hurricanes and more frequent flooding. For the Midwest, an agricultural catastrophe. Extreme heat destroying crops. 10% of the country's gross domestic product gone by the end of the century. Hundreds of billions of dollars lost.